Hi guys, I want to share with you the original, very first Marvel Omnibus they ever made. It was through Barnes & Noble. It was Ultimate Spider-Man Collection. It collected the first 3 hardcovers of Ultimate Spider-Man, and I just, I never thought that why wouldn't you make a big collection of all these comics in it? Like nowadays, we have omnibuses for all sorts of stuff, but this is the very first one. They tested it at Barnes & Noble, as you can tell by Barnes & Noble books. It was $50. I remember going to the store the day that it came out and buying it. It's a beautiful hardcover. It's in really good shape. And it's one of my prized possessions in my collection. It's just interesting to see, why didn't they, put a huge bunch of a large group of the issues together in one book. And I know some people don't like it, but I enjoy the omnibuses. I have quite a few of them, but actually more than quite a few. But this was such a great story to collect. I mean, it's Ultimate Spider-Man, the modern retelling of Spider-Man's origin, and it's cool seeing Uncle Ben and Aunt May and Peter, what it'd be like in high school at this time. Harry's there, Norman, MJ. There it is, the origin of Spider-Man. And I really enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man at the time. I was collecting it in trade. I had bought in the first 12 issues and then decided I should maybe I'll start doing it. I'll just buy the hardcovers because I like a nice hardcover. Yeah, this is a beautiful hardcover and still in great shape. Pretty sure it's a glued binding. But I always train the spine like I'm supposed to, so. And the paper's nice. And it's still pretty tight. The binding's still really tight. And I've read it probably, 20 times. And with Mark Bagley being one of my favorite Spider-Man artists, this is great seeing his, and those two teamed up for so many issues together. And I know that Dan, I think he broke the record. And then Brian came back and wrote some more. So then he had it. And I think now with Dan writing so much Spider-Man nowadays, he's broke the record again. And I love Dan's artwork. One of these days I'll make a video of all the custom hardcovers I made. I have all of Brand New Day custom bound in my reading, in the reading order that I like. And then the entire Dan Slott run afterwards. So when he took over as a solo writer and through Superior Spider-Man all the way up until 801, the final issue he did with Marcos Martin, I have all those issues bound in hardcover form. And like I said, I enjoy reading hardcovers and omnibuses, and there's no better way to do it. I like the reimagination of the characters in here, like Kraven and Dr. Octopus. And I mean, when they were created, when Steve Ditko was designing them and making them, I mean, the images still hold up and the characters still hold up. You know, this is the exact reason why Absolute Batman was so exciting right now. It was just an interesting take on a character, and I just could not stop reading it when it came out, because Spider-Man's one of my favorite characters, and it was just cool. And I know how Brian's real text heavy like this, but there's a ton of pages where he's hardly, you know, there's hardly any text on it, but this works well with Spider-Man. He's a great character, and just with Mark Bagley drawing all these interesting designs and cool characters, it's just a great thing. So, like I said, I got a piece of history with this book, and I've loved it. I also bought the officially first hardcover or omnibus, the Fantastic Four omnibus. It's still in great shape. It's a glued binding. I'm just afraid that that's a really thick book, and I don't know if the paper is real stiff, and I'm just afraid that glue's going to come away one of these days. But so far, so good. I also got the second one, the Amazing Spider-Man omnibus, the very first one. It was a second print. I bought the first print, and within like a month, the binding separated from the book. I took it back to the comic book shop, and they said there's going to do a second printing. Do you want to return this one? I said yeah, so I returned it for store credit. They didn't give me the whole amount back, but then I got the second print, and that was a sewed binding. And that one's hold up to this day. I've read that probably 60 times, and it's still in great shape, and the binding's still tight. And I had Stan Lee sign it, so that's pretty cool to get Stan Lee to sign the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus #1. Gene DeWolf. And I really liked MJ and Peter's relationship in this book. I liked how Brian wrote it. Of course, how Mark drew it. Venom. That was cool that Richard Parker was a scientist with Eddie, his dad, and they created the suit. But yeah, it was just neat seeing Brian's and Mark's unique takes on characters that, you know, grew up loving. That's a cool Venom. I liked how they add all these extras in the back of it. Now, this is them testing out what they think they could put into a book and what they're willing. I wish it was still $49.95 for a omnibus, not $175 sometimes or $150. But it's just a great book, and you know, a piece of Marvel history. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed.